Mr. Miller was yelling some strange things, and good and loud, too. He finally got one foot back on a branch, but he was in such a hurry to get down that he picked too small of a branch. It broke, and he slid about 5 feet before his belt got caught on a stub. While he was trying to get loose, the owl came back for another try. This time she was so close that we could see her big yellow eyes, and both Bruce and I ducked. She had her claws stuck way out in front of her. Just as she dived towards him, Mr. Miller, who couldn't see her coming because of his hat, gave a jump upward to get free of the stub. The result was that the owl couldn't miss him even if he wanted to. There was an awful flapping and yelling, and then away went the owl with Mr. Miller's hat. I don't think she really wanted the old hat. It was all Mr. Miller's fault for jumping at the wrong time. The owl seemed to be trying to shake the hat loose from her claws, but she couldn't because her claws were hooked in it. The last we saw of her, she was flying out over the prairie, and she still had the hat. When Mr. Miller got down out of the tree, he went straight to his haversack. He took out a bottle, opened it, and started to drink. His Adam's apple was going in and out like an accordion. After a while, he put down the bottle and wiped his mouth. When he saw us staring at him, he tried to smile. Cold tea, he explained. Thirsty work, climbing trees in this hot weather. It was an owl's nest, wasn't it, sir? Asked Bruce. Mr. Miller looked at him hard for a moment. Then, yes, Bruce, he said. Guess it was. There was one thing about Mr. Miller. You couldn't stop him for long. Now, he explained to us that it was probably a bad thing to climb to the nest because it would disturb the owls too much. He had a better idea. He took a hatchet out of his haversack. What do you think a hatchet is? I think it's an axe. And set to work building something called a blind. What this was really was a little tent fixed on a platform of sticks high up in another tree, but close to the owl tree. It took a couple of hours to build the blind. Bruce and I went scrounging for pieces of wood, and when we brought them back, Mr. Miller hauled them up the chosen tree with a rope and nailed them into place. When he had a platform built, he hauled up the tent. The tent had a round hole, about as big as your fist in the front of it. That was for the camera. According to Mr. Miller, you could hide in the blind and stay there until the owl thought everything was safe. Then, when the owl came back to her nest, you could take all the pictures that you wanted and she would never even know about it. Remember, this is before digital cameras and videos and